Because until I'm not clear on what my definition of success is, which is where clarity comes in, how do I know when I get there? I started asking myself questions. I started with a higher level of awareness that if this is what everyone is telling me success is, and I've reached many of these items, why am I not feeling the joy and happiness I'm supposed to feel?
Today, we're diving deep into the world of personal and professional fulfillment with a special guest, Sahil. Sahil insights on clarity and its transformative power are truly inspiring. In this episode, we'll explore how lack of clarity can lead to regret and frustration, and how gaining clarity, on the other side, can help you define your own success and make better decisions and eliminate excess baggage. As usual, before we dive into this treasure of wisdom, here's a little something from the heart. Every subscription, every like, every share means the world to us. And it's not about numbers, it's about the incredible community we are trying to build together. So if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and share with your friends. It's more than just a support, it's a journey we're taking together to spread these great minds and their even greater stories. All right, let's get started. Are you ready?
Ready as always.
Amazing. Let's start with this shocking question. Who is Sahil?
Where do I start? I'm just a regular guy, like most of the listeners who are on this program. I've been going through life thinking life was great, and I had this vision of what success looked like in my head. I was told you get a good grades in school, you go to a good university, you get a good job, then you can make some good money, you get a family, you have children, you live in a nice house, you have a nice car. And I started checking off all those boxes one at a time. And then in my mid 30s, I realized that although from the outside it looked like things are great, and as I mentioned, I checked all the boxes, inside I
Hmm.
was feeling empty. I was feeling like something is missing, something's not right. And that's when I started on this whole journey within. I started asking myself questions. I started with a higher level of awareness that if this is what everyone is telling me success is, and I've reached many of these items, why am I not feeling the joy and happiness I'm supposed to feel?
Hmm?
And so that really embarked me on a journey, which I'm so thankful for, because today I'm living a life where I'm actually joyous, I'm actually happy. And anything I find that is causing a regret in my life, I take care of it as quickly as I can, whether it's through health, whether it's relationships, whether it's in my own mind. Because for me, the most important thing is, Danielle, I want to be able to sleep peacefully at night. I want that inner peace.
Hmm. What a nice story and what a nice tweak back there. We'll dig deep into that. Uh, so, why is clarity so crucial for achieving our goals and living fulfillment life or a fulfilling life? Just like you mentioned in your story, uh, you had everything, but you're not happy. You're not fulfilled. So was it this clarity that made this change, or what happened?
Absolutely, it's clarity, Danielle. I was living a life which others, and when I say others, I'm talking about community, family, society, they had defined as success. But I didn't feel it inside. And that's because there was a disconnect.
Hmm.
I'll give you an example. I ask many of my clients that I work with, great leaders from all around the world, and I start with the simple question: do you want to be successful? And naturally, all of them say, yeah, absolutely. And then I say, okay, what does that mean?
Define
And then they're
success.
thinking, they're thinking, they're thinking, and they're like, I want to be rich. I said, great. What does that mean? Is it rich in health? Is it rich in wealth? Is it rich in relationships? Is it a combination of all of those? Is it none of those? Is it something else? What is it? Because until I'm not clear on what my definition of success is, which is where clarity comes in, how do I know when I get there? How do I know what path to take when I hit a crossroad? Because we have so many decisions that we make on a daily basis where we have to say yes or no. And now, today, and especially with the clients that I work with, when they come to these important crossroads in their life, they ask, is it in line with the direction I want to go, which is my definition of success? And if it's yes, they take it. But if it's not, they politely decline. And so, as a mountaineer, there's a concept in the mountaineering world called the 7 summits. These are the tallest mountains on each of the 7 continents. So I talk to the folks that I work with and I say, what are your 7 summits? Because success is never.
Just let me hold you there. Let me hold you there.
Yeah.
We're going fast. Okay. Defining success. Okay. This is a statement that is like all over the social media, and we're talking about success and fulfillment. And I talked about this with also Marshall Goldsmith on one of these episodes on Monday. Now, I'd love to, or curious to know, how do you, Sahil, define success for your own? What success means to you?
Success for me, if I had to sum it up in 2 words, it's inner peace.
Interesting.
It's that simple. If I have inner peace, what else could I ask for? That's the best life I can have.
How can I get there?
And that's where the 0 regret comes in. Because if you have regret, it's harder to get to inner peace. And so by identifying and to know what regret is, you have to have clarity on what's important for you. Not what your family tells you, not what society tells you, not what social media tells you, but it's your definition. Because I'm sure you know a lot of people who, by default, a lot of people like to say, I want to be rich and I want to be famous. That's what a lot of kids are saying nowadays. How many rich and famous people do you know who've had major depression, who've even committed suicide, who are unfulfilled, who are, on heavy medication, etc., etc. So I'm not saying being rich and famous will not get you to inner peace. I'm just saying there's no direct correlation between being rich and famous and feeling or living a life with no regret. Because each of us is a different animal and we have to understand ourselves. It's not what others think or others say. We have to feel it. And we can only know what's good for us is when we have clarity, when we actually think about it and go, what's important for me?
Okay, so let's say most of the young people now, just like you said, they're aiming for being rich and famous. And just like you said as well, we know so many stories of famous people who just go for suicide. They ended their lives with their hands. And what's the reason? Was they targeting this goal to be rich and famous, and they reached it, and then they found themselves goalless, let's say? If they don't have the next goal, maybe there is no reason for living. Well, I'm curious to know, what's the effect of having no purpose or no clarity, purpose in life, if I don't have a clear idea of my goal, what will happen?
When you don't have clarity, Danielle, it's just harder to make decisions. And sometimes you make decisions that you'll regret because you go, oh, that wasn't what I expected it to be, or that wasn't the best use of my time, whatever the reasons may be. But if you don't have clarity, you may make the wrong decision. And if you make the wrong decisions, that can lead to regret. But you mentioned
Mm.
Marshall Goldsmith. He's a dear friend and a mentor of mine. And one of the things that I've learned from him, he says, a lot of the world has an illness. And the illness is when I get this, I
I
will
will
be
be
happy.
happy. Yes, I remember that.
Okay, right, exactly. And that's the illness that most people have. When I get a better job, when I get a promotion, when I get this bigger house, when I get this luxury car, when I get, married, when I have children, I'll be happy. But how about being happy now?
Mm.
How about sitting with yourself and being clear what you want? And please, I do want to give a disclaimer. Whatever you think you want today, it could change over time because you're looking at it from your lens and your perspective of life today. A decade from now, maybe you've lost your parents, or you got married, or your kids went to university, or you moved to a different country. Your perspective may change. But at least from your perspective of today, you have what I call your guiding light that's directing you
Mm.
in the direction that is where you want to go because it's your definition of success. And that's allowing you to make better decisions since you have clarity, which is then leading to moving towards a life of no regret.
Beautiful. Okay. Now let's go back to your 7 7s. 7 7s. Can we elaborate on the concept of this and how it relates to your personal and professional goals?
Sure. So these 7 summits are the 7 mountains you wish to climb, and those comprise of your definition of success. So what I usually tell people, here's a list of about 12 or 15 items that most people select. If there's something there that you would like to keep as one of your 7 summits, by all means keep it. And if you have something that's outside of this list, that's also fine. Because you need to have direction, and I want to kind of reference Alice in Wonderland because there's this scene between Alice and the Cheshire Cat where they have a conversation where she's asking which direction she should go. And when he's asking her more questions to find out where she wants to go, she goes, well, I don't know. And then he says, well, then it doesn't matter where you go, because if you keep walking, you'll eventually
Yeah,
get.
I remember the question. Really
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. So that's how I was going through life. And I know that's how many other people are still going through life. And so by identifying your 7 summits, you start to have direction, right? And that's the clarity that we're speaking about. And what I find with most people that I work with is when they put their 7 summits together and they prioritize them in ranking from 1 to 7, they usually say, oh my goodness, I'm not spending much time on my top 2 or top 3 priorities, the things that matter most. And when I say things that matter most, these 7 summits, now, Danielle, we're going to use our imagination here, right? We're always juggling balls. So these 7 summits, imagine each one is a ball and we're juggling. So we're juggling and we have 7 balls that we're constantly juggling on a daily basis. Maybe there's health in there, maybe there's wealth, there's relationships, there's personal growth, there's career, there's community service, there's spirituality. I'm just giving you some of the more common ones. We're juggling. Now, I want you to imagine that some of these balls are glass balls and some of them are rubber balls. Okay? Which again is not me who's defining it, it's you who's defining from these 7 that you've selected which ones are glass and which ones are rubber. Now, Danielle, what happens if you drop a glass ball?
Explode, broke.
It's broken, right?
Oh.
So it's so important to identify which are the glass balls because there's certain things in your life when you drop them, that's it. You might get a chronic illness. Now, you're not dead, but you might be on medication for life as a result. And it's something that you could have avoided had you identified it as a glass ball. Whereas a rubber ball, if you drop it, it can bounce back. So how many times have you heard of people, they've become a millionaire, they've lost it all, they've become a millionaire again, right? It can happen. You can lose money, but you can get it back. So it's very
Mm.
important that when you pick those 7 summits, you classify which ones are rubber balls and which ones are glass balls, because you're constantly juggling them. So when they prioritize them, usually the glass balls come first. And then that's when they go, oh my goodness, I'm really not spending a lot of time on the things that matter the most. So it's like an awakening. They're having clarity. And then I
Mm.
ask them, I say, okay, well, what does the summit look like? If you were to get to the top, what does that mean? And then I ask them,
Nice.
where are you today?
Oh.
Right? So now you know where you are, where you need to get to. And then I tell them, I said, listen, every day, just make sure you're taking one step towards any of those summits, if not more, but at least one every single day, and be more conscious about it. So it's about those small improvements. When I climb the mountain, Danielle, if I look at the summit on day 0, I'm thinking, oh my God, that's so far away. I don't think I can get there. But I just
Mm.
focus on where do I need to get by the end of day 1? Where do I need to get by the end of day 2? And then 6 days later of living on the mountain, we're eventually on the summit. And even on summit day, it's high altitude, tired, the body's aching. I mean, everything is just telling me stop. But all I tell myself is, Sal, just put one foot in front of the other. And when I finish that, I say, okay, now put the other foot in front of the other. So it's all about small steps because eventually you get there.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Can we dig deeper, like on clarity and how does it affect or how does it help making decisions easier and more effective?
Perfect. So I'll share a personal example. For me, due to various reasons, and I've seen health challenges in our family, and so health for me was a very big priority.
Glass ball.
That was a glass bowl, absolutely. And so one of the things I said is I want to treat my body like a temple, like a mosque, like a church, like a spiritual place. I just want to treat my body. I want to love my body. I want to treat it with a lot of respect. And so once I made that decision, now living in Dubai, it's an active city. There's a lot going on. Almost any night of the week, you can do something. It's possible.
Yeah.
There's some dinner, some event. And so I used to participate in many of these. And what became important for me as part of my health was I loved waking up early. I loved having that time to myself where I could energize myself in the mornings through breath work, through meditation, through movement, through journaling, through reading. And because that was so important to me, because it was one of my summits of health, now whenever a decision came to go out for a late dinner on a weeknight, it became very easy for me to say no. And I didn't
Mm.
have FOMO because at first I'd be like, oh, but my friends are going, I'll miss out. It's going to be a great party. It's going to be a fun evening. But when I look at my summits, fun was also there, by the way. But fun was a rubber ball, and fun was definitely not the highest priority. Health was.
Mm.
I said, okay, if I'm honoring what I've decided as what's success for me and I'm so clear on it, I'm now able to say no to the things during the weekdays. And the only exception I made, because fun is still there, is if there's a very good friend who's visited, once a year, twice a year, or it's a very good friend's birthday, I make those exceptions. But I don't do it all the time. For anything that's
Mm.
out of the ordinary, I say no. Because
Mm.
if I said yes, then I'm saying no to health because I'm waking up late. I don't get time to do my exercise, my meditation, all that I mentioned in the morning. And then that will
Nice.
affect my health in the long term.
It's really affecting your way of life. when you just
Absolutely.
like keep clarity of the goals, like this is aligning, or this is not aligning, or this is against what I agreed with myself upon, right? Okay, so we mentioned excess baggages, and let's say what are some of the most common excess baggage that can hold us back from reaching this full potential of ours?
Yeah.
And
So I want to give a little
we don't
context.
live by the book. We don't live by the book, just like right and wrong. Life is
Yeah.
not two colors.
Yeah.
Life has gray, right? Black and white, and there's a gray. So how can we define those excess baggages that we have?
That's a wonderful question. So I just want to put context. Now, as we're climbing to these summits, we're all carrying weight with us. Now, when I climb a mountain, I can't climb it without baggage because I need my clothes, my shoes, my crampons, my ice axe. I need all those things. But am I going to take, you know, an extra set of ice axes just in case one breaks? If I do, that's
Hmm.
more weight than I need. Am I going to take an extra pair of shoes in case mine get, damaged? Am I going to take more clothes in case the weather suddenly changes? The answer is no. I'm taking only what is important for me to get from where I am to the summit.
Mm-hmm.
Even 1 kilo extra over 6 days of carrying that weight ends up being very heavy. So
Oh
that's what I mean
yes.
by excess baggage. And imagine people who are carrying weight with them on their shoulders, metaphorically speaking, for years and years and years.
Hmm.
It gets
Okay.
really heavy and it's slowing you down. So my goal is to get you to your summit faster. And in order to get there faster, you need to eliminate this excess baggage that you're carrying with you.
In real life, what could be in this baggage?
So it could be lots of things. It could be relationships. It could be something where somebody said something and instead of addressing it, you didn't address it if it caused a problem in your life and you just held on to it and you said, you know what, oh, it's okay, we'll ignore it, time will heal, etc., etc. And the next thing you know, that event in your life created a rift between you and that other person, which was small, but over time that gap kept increasing. And the next thing
Oh,
you know, you become distant with that individual. And let me give you an example.
yeah, please.
I'm running on the beach
Okay.
and you're running towards me, Danielle. And I wave to you and I say, hey, good morning. And you don't wave back or you don't even acknowledge me.
Mm-hmm. On
Now,
purpose. I mean,
well, we don't know. I'm just giving you the scenario.
yeah. Okay.
Now, most likely, I'm going to think, Danielle, he's such a, and then you can fill in the blanks, right? I mean, it's not very nice words. And now we meet at a work event, and you come up to me and you say, hey, Sahil, so nice to see you. I haven't seen you for a while. And I'm thinking, this is the same guy who just ignored me on the beach. Why should I be nice to him? So I'm being very, cold to you. And now you're thinking in your head, I came to Sahil with a big smile and happy, and he's so rude to me. And then at the next
Yeah.
event, we don't even talk.
Hmm.
Now, what happened in reality? I waved, you didn't wave back. I had a choice. I could have called you and said, hey, Danielle, I was running on the beach this morning and is everything okay? Because it's not like you not to, to acknowledge me. And you might have said, oh, Sahil, thanks for calling. I've had such a rough morning. My dog just died and I just had to go out for a run and I just didn't see anything around me. I was just in my head. Thank you so much for calling. It means a lot to me.
Hmm. That
Because I
makes a
assumed and I
big
didn't
difference.
address it, because I assumed and I didn't address it, I made up all these stories in my head. Now, when you met me at the party, I was cold to you. You could have asked me, hey, is everything okay? It's unusual for you to behave in this manner. And again, I could have addressed it and then we would have cleared the air and then we move forward and we're good buddies again. But because neither of us addressed it and we just had the story in our head, it caused us to ruin the relationship when in reality, neither of us did anything to the other.
Yeah, on false, let's say, decisions or judgment, right?
And so these kind of judgments or assumptions are happening all the time. So that's for me one of the areas where I see, due to a lack of communication, there's excess baggage that people are carrying.
Okay, how about the old wound stories? Like, I got hurt at this point, so I made my decision to, so I keep it there as a reminder. Like, whenever you face such a similar situation, you have to, like, just like escape, find a runaway, or find something. But it's there, stuck in the head. And I made this, and I don't allow myself to negotiate or discuss the subject because I've been hurt in similar situation. Is it healthy to keep it this way, or just like, hey, it's history now? I was a kid in the school when I faced this situation, awkward situation, or we all have these bad stories that made us who we are, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
what's your advice about, like, should I just keep it with me in this baggage, or just like learn the lesson and throw the story away, or just like, hey, maybe it's not the way you it's not, this is not the lesson you need to get from this one. I mean, we have a lot of, I mean, to put it in short, we have a lot of old stories from even being a kid, and we keep carrying it.
We
Is
do,
that
and
healthy?
it gets really heavy, Danielle, and it's slowing us down in so many areas. You know, I'm going to break it down a little bit. One is, and I love what you said, what is the lesson that I learned from it?
Hmm.
If you learned a lesson and you've become a better version of yourself as a result of that, even if the situation was bad and awful at the time, it's almost like you should thank the person in your head that thanks to this happening, I've become a better version of myself and I've had all these other successes as a result.
Hmm.
Again, it may have felt horrible at the time, but now that you're looking back and reflecting on it, if you've grown from it, if you've learned from it, if you've benefited from it, then I see that as a positive, not as a negative.
Hmm.
So that's one
Okay,
thing that I,
so yeah.
and the other thing I'd like to say is each situation is different. You might say between our interaction, yeah, I had something like this with someone else in the past. I assume and I believe it's the same with you. But guess what? It's not the same. It's different.
Hmm.
And so, are you going to risk that relationship based on an assumption you've made on the past?
Hmm.
Or do you want to clarify it and make sure that you're aligned? And even if you're right, which the probability is there, it's small, but what if you were wrong?
What else?
So if your relationship matters to you, then let's not use assumptions.
Love
Let's
it.
clarify.
No assumptions. Clarity. Wow, it's really something that can change our lives. Good. So is there something like, can we live a life with zero regrets? Is it realistic?
The short answer is I feel you can, and I'll explain how. You mentioned that we've all gone through various experiences in our lives. I've gone through many, and I still do go through many. And I'm going to give an example of a story between my wife and I. So, we had something where we started to distance, and we distanced over time because we just weren't addressing things. We had young kids, our focus was there, and those little things over time became big things, and we were just having silly disputes, silly arguments, and we were very distant. And it really hit me when one day she says to me, "I don't recognize you anymore. Like, you're not the guy that I married." And partially that's true. We all evolve, so we're not the same as when we initially got
Mm,
married. But jokes aside, I understood the point she was trying to make. We just couldn't recognize each other. And it's because we were misaligned. So there was a lot of challenge that we were facing. And what we did is we created a safe space. We agreed to we co-created how we wish to communicate with each other, where we can speak openly and freely, without judgment, without anger, without unleashing on each other, listening to the other person, not making assumptions. So we kind of created this thing, and we held that very sacred. And if any of us went off track, we gave permission to the other person to bring us back on track. And so we started communicating and being very open with one another. And over time, that misalignment got smaller and smaller and smaller. And then, we're very much aligned.
mm,
So we wanted to share this whole experience with other people. And we held this talk on conscious communication for couples.
mhm.
Now, on the way there, we get into an argument in the car. Okay. And I tell her, pause. I say, stop. I said, this is so ironic that we're going to a talk on how to communicate, consciously for better loving between couples, and we're having an argument in the car. I said, I can't be authentic on stage if this is going on. So we said, okay, what have we agreed to? Let's go back to that, the terms of how we want to communicate with one another. We went through that process. Within a few minutes, we realized it was miscommunication, right? We clarified, we got aligned again, we were on the same page, and we went to the talk, and we were able to give a beautiful talk, and we even shared that story. And so I
Yeah,
tell
practical.
people, it doesn't mean that bad things or things that could lead to regret won't happen, but your recovery will be much faster.
Uh,
You see?
yeah. Okay. Okay. Got it.
Now, it's not that I will not get any excess luggage in my bag. I will, but I will recognize it much faster, and I'll get rid of it much faster. And so that period of regret becomes very short compared to before, when I might have carried it for days or weeks or months.
Beautiful. Okay. We're running out of time. I was so deep into this conversation. I really enjoy it. So let's wrap it up. I'm sorry, but we have 3 minutes. What's the golden nugget we want to leave the audience with today?
The golden nugget is identifying the excess baggage. And I'm going to give two very quick tips. One is, every night, just ask yourself, what drained me of energy today?
Hmm.
Okay. And what elevated me today? And if you note that down, you will start to see patterns. And you might see a pattern that every time something specific happened, it drained you of energy. That is excess baggage. Because if it's happening again and again and causing you pain, you're carrying it
Wow.
with you. It's not dealt with.
That's really practical.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And the second one, and this one you have to be brave. You ask your loved ones, how can I be a better, and like in my case, I would say, how can I be a better husband, a son, a father, a boss, a co-worker? I will ask these people. And whatever they share with me, because they're loved ones and they care about me, I'm not allowed to judge. I'm not allowed to comment. Whatever they give me, I just say thank you. Like a gift that's been given. Like when you get a gift on your birthday, you just say thank you. If you like the gift, use it. If you don't like the gift, put it away. But if
Right.
you see people telling you that how you can be better, and they give you these tips, and you go, hey, if five people are saying the same thing, maybe I can get better at that, and you improve. Again, you're removing excess baggage from your backpack, and you're going to scale your mountains faster. So those are my two quick tips.
Wow, very interesting, really, and practical tips, really. How can people reach Sahil?
There are many ways to reach me. You can go to my website, www.sahilmehta.com. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. It's the same, Saahil Mehta. I'm on social media, Saahil Mehta Official on Instagram and Facebook. So yeah, many ways to reach me. Just, send me a note.
Amazing.
I'm always happy to have a
I'll make
conversation.
sure I'll make sure to put all these links in the description below. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being with us today, and thank you, Sahil, for sharing valuable insights on clarity and its transformative power. Really inspiring, and I was like, I forgot the time. Your message was really inspiring, and I'm sure the audience will find it incredibly helpful. Remember, clarity is the key to unlock your full potential and living a life almost zero regrets, or really minimize the regret size. Take time to define your own success, eliminate excess baggage, and scale your summits with confidence. I believe with these two lines, we summarize what we have discussed. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and remember the power of clarity is within you, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Sahil. Have a lovely day.
Thank you, Danielle.